Good evening. This is the news tonight, your daily roundup of all that has happened across India and the world. I'm Ishan Russell. And today was a great day for democracy in India as the elections in two extremely sensitive states, Jammu and Kashmir and Jharkhand, passed off peacefully and with record voter participation. We'll be talking about all this and more over the next half hour. But first, a look at the headlines we're tracking right now. High turnouts in Jharkhand and Jammu and Kashmir. Ballots cast for 20 seats in Jammu and Kashmir and 18 in Jharkhand. BJP President Amit Shah claims his party is against forcible conversions, wants political rivals to support the anti-conversion bill to prove their secularism. Finance Minister Arun Jaitley says the government will not allow political obstructions to pass the insurance reforms. The government takes disciplinary action against Devyani Khobragare, diplomat taken off from her duties for speaking out of turn to the media. And India lose the second test at Brisbane against Australia by 4 wickets, trailed 0-2 in the 4-match series. All right, the big story today, amid tight security, brisk voting took place today for the 5th and final round of elections in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, the voting took place at 2,366 polling stations across 3 border districts.
Braving the biting cold, a large number of people came out to vote in the 5th and final phase elections in Jammu and Kashmir.
So overall is 76. This overall was 71.46. In this phase in 2008 it was 71.46, which is now 76. So you can say almost 4.5% higher, percentage points higher than the 2008 level for today's phase.
At many places, voters lined up at polling stations much before the start of voting time at 8 a.m. Deputy Chief Minister Tara Chand and 4 cabinet colleagues are among 312 candidates whose fate was sealed in the 20 seats spread across Jammu, Kathua and Rajouri districts.
कीमती वोट देश के हित के कार्य के लिए दें और सभी अच्छे से अच्छा नेता जो चुनने के लिए अच्छे से अच्छा नेता जो कामकाज करें, आप कृपया उनको वोट दें.
After a record voter turnout in the previous 4 phases, particularly in the Kashmir Valley, there were expectations of a high voter turnout in this phase too. BJP has high stakes in this phase. Of the 20 seats that went to polls, it got 10 in the 2008 Assembly elections, followed by the Congress with 5, the National Conference 2, the PDP 1 and 2 seats going to independents. Deputy Chief Minister and Congress candidate Tara Chand, who won the charm seat in Jammu in 1996, 2002 and 2008, is fighting to retain the seat this time again. Besides, Congress candidate from Akhnur and Minister Shamlar Sharma is looking at scoring a hat-trick. Another Congress minister, Raman Bhalla, is also looking at repeating his victory of 2002 and 2008 in the Gandhinagar seat. Coinciding with the election, militants stepped up violence in the state, killing 11 soldiers and policemen in an attack on an Indian army camp. Security forces suffered some of the worst losses in 6 years in these elections. Counting of votes will take place on 23rd December. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
And the story wasn't at all, in fact, was quite similar in Jharkhand, which recorded a high voter turnout of 66% through the 5 phases of polls. Now, the figure for the 5th and final phase held on Saturday is 71%. In all, almost 37 lakh voters, including nearly 18 lakh women, were eligible to cast their vote. With development and a stable government being topmost on the voters' mind, the high turnout will surely help.
For the 5th phase, it is 71.26%. So if you see that overall turnout, it is 66.03%. If you compare with the previous years, then this is the highest ever turnout.
Long queues were seen at polling booths in Jharkhand from early in the morning. Braving the December chill, voters queued up to cast their ballot in what turned out to be a peaceful day of voting. The 6 districts that went to polls in the 5th and final phase include Dumka, Pakur, Goda, Sahibganj, Jamtara and a part of Deoghar, which forms the Jarmundi constituency.
वोट से ही विकास होगा ना। वोट जब हम देंगे तभी हम तरक्की कर सकते हैं। लोग सोए रह जाते हैं, मतलब जो है वोट को देना, पहले भी लोग इतना तरजीह नहीं देते थे, लेकिन अब ये हो गया है कि नहीं, सरकार की तरफ से भी बहुत सारा ये किया गया है कि पहले मतदान तब जलपान, इसी और लोग काफ़ी जागरूक हो गए हैं, प्रचार प्रसार भी काफ़ी हो रहा है।
झारखंड को बने हुए 14 बरस हो गए, अस्थाई सरकार नहीं बनी और उसी का दुर्दशा ये झारखंड का है। सबसे समृद्ध स्टेट इसको होना चाहिए, क्योंकि यहाँ खानी जी की भरमार है। यह आदिवासी बहुल क्षेत्र काफी आज के दिन में भी अविकसित है, इसलिए अस्थाई सरकार की आवश्यकता यहाँ पर है।
Chief Minister Hemant Soren, who is among the 208 candidates in the fray, is contesting from Barhet and Dumka, a seat he had won in the 2009 polls.
देखिए, चुनाव तो हो गया, चुनाव नाउ फिनिश्ड। अब वेट करते हैं 23 तारीख का, और जो हम लोगों ने मेहनत किया है, जो हमारे कार्यकर्ताओं ने मेहनत किया है, यहाँ के जनमानस ने जो अपने मतदान किए हैं, इसका परिणाम 23 को होगा। हम 23 का इंतजार करेंगे।
As many as 833 of the 4,448 polling booths were marked as hypersensitive and nearly 1,500 as sensitive, while 291 had webcasting. Despite a heavy Maoist threat, no untoward incident was reported from any place. A total of 22,240 polling personnel, 16 general observers, 10 expenditure observers, 3 police observers, 1 awareness observer and 1,050 micro-observers were deployed to oversee voting on Saturday. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
All right, to help us understand what these polling percentages mean, what this high voter turnout means, we're joined by Smita Gupta. She's the associate editor at the Hindu newspaper. Smita, thanks very much for coming in. High percentage in both these states despite major security challenges. So just for our viewers, what would be the highlights for you of these elections?
Well, as you pointed out, the high poll percentages in both the states are, noteworthy, particularly because in both states you have major security issues. In Jharkhand, you have the Maoist problem. In Jammu and Kashmir, it's a border state which lives under a terrorist threat all the time.
Right.
And yet people came out in large numbers. One, I think we need to give credit to the Election Commission, which has worked, overtime to get these large numbers out. And this has been a kind of phenomenon that we've been observing over the last few elections, because the Election Commission has also been running its campaign, a campaign to get more voters out. Secondly, I think in Jammu and Kashmir it is extremely important to note the fact that despite the poll boycott announced by sub-separatist groups, people have turned out in large numbers, especially in the valley. So I think that is extremely important. One needs to pay tribute to these voters who have braved not just the cold but terrorist threats to come out and cast their votes.
Absolutely, really enthusiastic participation was witnessed. But while we'll have to wait till the 23rd for the results, what do these record turnouts signify? Is it a vote for something in particular?
I think in Jammu and Kashmir, the record turnout will deliver two different kinds of votes, one in Jammu and one in the valley. I don't think it signifies that one political party is gaining in both areas. In Jammu, if we leave out the border districts which are Muslim dominated, I would imagine that the BJP will be the lead party over there. BJP is likely to more than double the number of seats that it had last time.
Right.
In the valley, I think we had a national conference Congress government. I think we are likely to see a total change, and the PDP is likely to get the largest chunk of seats in the valley. Having said that, I'd like to make another point related to what I mentioned earlier about the high turnout in the valley despite the poll boycott. I think people over there realize that if they actually listen to the separatists, they might end up voting, end up ensuring that a party that they were not so keen on, ends up getting some seats over there. So I think over there is a political element also in the high turnout, in the valley particularly.
Absolutely. I mean, yes, the call of the separatists, I'm sure, almost went unheeded given the high percentage of poll turnout. But most of the electioneering, Smita, we saw was talk about development and stability. Do you think we've moved beyond the identity politics that usually determine voter preference in these states?
See, people cast their votes for a variety of reasons. People have always cast their votes in the hope that the government that they get will improve their lives.
Right.
But I think it's a cliche to say that people earlier used to vote on the basis of identity politics and now they're casting their votes for development. There are a variety of reasons, political, developmental, etc. So I really don't, think that one can use that cliche to describe the elections in Jammu and Kashmir. In Jharkhand, yes, it's a relatively new state, still extremely undeveloped. There's been a lot of corruption in a whole bunch of governments that have ruled it since it was created. It's also been marked by instability. So I think there people will probably want a stable government, and I think we are likely to see a one-party rule after the elections there.
All right, Smita, we'll leave it over there. Thanks very much for coming in and explaining to us what these elections really do mean for the people. And we'll have to wait and see till the 23rd of what the final verdict is. But thanks very much for coming in and sharing your point of view. All right, moving on now. All news was not positive about the elections today because amid the elections in the valley today, another Sarpanch was killed by suspected militants in the Sopore district of Jammu and Kashmir. Ghulam Mohammad Bhatt was the Sarpanch of the Bomai village. He was killed in a marketplace after two suspected terrorists came on a bike and fired at him from a point-blank range. Now, this is the fourth Sarpanch who was shot dead in the past 1 month. The state police have filed an FIR and an investigation has also been initiated to identify the culprits.
सुबह हम खेत में गए थे जी, तो जब हम खेत पर पहुंच गए तो अचानक एक गाड़ी वहां पर रुक गई और उसने बताया कि आपके बाप को गोली लगी। तो मैंने फेरन भी उधर ही रख दिया और मैं सीधा अस्पताल पहुंच गया, सोपोर सब डिस्ट्रिक्ट अस्पताल। और वहाँ जब मैंने अपने बाप को देखा, मैंने वहीं पर समझ लिया कि शायद बचेगा नहीं। फिर उसके बाद वो मर गया।
We'll take a very quick break right now, but lots more news and updates on the other side, so stay tuned to the news tonight. Welcome back here with the news tonight. Some political news now. The Bharatiya Janata Party is against forced conversions and wants to bring a law to stop them. BJP President Amit Shah said this in Kerala today. He also asked other political parties to support the bill if they were sincere in their approach to secularism.
The conversion row derailed Rajya Sabha proceedings all of this week, as the opposition demanded a statement from Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The PM may not have obliged, but the ruling party has now said that it is against forcible conversions. Party President Amit Shah even said that the BJP wants to bring a law to stop forced conversions.
कन्वर्जन का जहां तक सवाल है, बीजेपी एक ही पार्टी देश में ऐसी है जो फोर्सफुल कन्वर्जन को समाप्त करने के लिए कानून लाने के पक्ष में है। मैं सभी सो कॉल्ड सेक्युलर पार्टीज को अपील करता हूं कि वो फोर्सफुल कन्वर्जन को समाप्त करने के लिए कानून लाने में बीजेपी का सपोर्ट करें।
When asked whether the party would talk to minority organizations on the issue, Shah said it was important to form a consensus among political parties first. But the BJP president refused to comment on the Ghar Wapsi program reportedly carried out by a pro-Hindu outfit in Uttar Pradesh, saying the matter was sub judice. 56 Muslim families were allegedly forcibly converted on December 8th. They were reportedly lured by the promise of ration and BPL cards. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Now, with barely 2 days to go for the winter session of Parliament to draw to a close next week, Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today said the government is determined to push through its reforms agenda. He was referring to the insurance and coal bills. Jaitley said the government will not allow what he called political obstructionists to stop it. Jaitley was addressing industrialists at FICCI's annual general meeting. Now, the government has been unable to take up the discussion on these bills because of disruptions in the upper house, where it is in a minority. The Ministry of External Affairs today temporarily relieved diplomat Devyani Khobragare of her duties in the MEA and placed her on compulsory wait. Now, the action comes a week after her interviews to the media. Government officials said Devyani is also being investigated for failing to inform the government about the US passports of her children. An inquiry is underway on the reported unauthorized interviews that she gave to media organizations recently. Devyani has, however, denied the charges, saying she hasn't violated any rules under the Civil Services Act. The Congress has criticized the action and accused the BJP of double standards.
I cannot say anything or express anything that is taken as a criticism of the government or government policy. I have not done that. Nor have I said anything that embarrasses the relations between India and any other foreign government.
What has really changed in the last 12 months that has now prompted this government which was such a valiant supporter of Devyani Khobragare when they were in the opposition, to now take disciplinary action against her?
Well, normally civil servants in our government system keep away from the media unless they are doing something on which they are supposed to interact with the media. That has been the tradition.
Right, now, Pakistan has earned a place at the world's top particle physics lab for nuclear research. Media reports quoted some Indian scientists saying that this was due to a failure in providing some documents to the laboratory, and therefore India was not able to make it, but Pakistan was.
On Friday, India lost a race to bag a place in an important scientific body to Pakistan. The prize was a membership at the CERN, the world's largest particle physics laboratory that recently found evidence of the boson or the God particle.
थोड़ा डिले हुआ तो आपके हिसाब से सडनली हमने कुछ इलेक्शन नहीं लूज किया, ऐसा नहीं है कि एक जगह थी उन्होंने पाकिस्तान को दे दिया हमें छोड़, ऐसा नहीं है.
Being associate member entitles Pakistan to attend meetings of the CERN Council. Its scientists can be staff members and take part in CERN's training and career development programs. But although India enjoys just an observer status at CERN, it has made significant technology contributions, especially for the Large Hadron Collider project.
भारत ने में इसमें हार्डवेयर भी दिया है, बहुत सारा सॉफ्टवेयर भी दिया है, और बहुत सारे हमारे वैज्ञानिक इसके इन एक्सपेरिमेंट से जुड़े हुए हैं, पाकिस्तान से कहीं ज़्यादा.
The Hadron Collider project is an attempt to recreate the conditions of the Big Bang, the state in which the universe is understood to have been in the first moments of its existence, nearly 14 billion years ago. Other observer states currently involved in CERN programs include the European Commission, Japan, the Russian Federation, Turkey, UNESCO and the USA. Aruna Thakur for Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, now, Delhiites woke up to a chilly and foggy Saturday morning with the mercury dipping to 7.4 degrees Celsius, 1 degree below the season's average. The national capital was not alone. Cold wave conditions continued unabated in most parts of North India, with Punjab and Haryana, Jammu and Kashmir being enveloped with dense fog at several places, affecting vehicular movement. Dense fog forced the cancellation of all flights from Chandigarh as well today. All right, now all the other national stories in Nationwide. A Delhi court has imposed a fine of 10,000 rupees on Union Minister Nitin Gadkari in a defamation case filed by him against former Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Gadkari was fined for failure to comply with the court's order on filing an affidavit 3 days before the hearing. The government is launching its 500 crore rupees Heritage City Development Project early next year. The plan aimed at preserving and revitalizing heritage cities will be launched for 12 selected cities. It will be totally funded by the centre and is expected to be completed in 3 to 5 years. The nursery admission process in private schools started in Delhi today. The sale of forms started in schools and a heavy rush is expected over the next few days. Meanwhile, the Delhi government's Directorate of Education has decided to move the Supreme Court to appeal against the High Court's decision. Well, we'll take another very quick break, but lots more on the other side, so stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the news tonight. Some international news now. Well, following a rebuke from US President Barack Obama for caving to terrorist demands, Sony Pictures has said it is committed to getting The Interview, the movie, seen by audiences. Now, while the company defended its decision to shelve the comedy film in the wake of a massive hacking attack and threats against movie theatres, it's now looking at other ways to release it.
2 days after announcing its cancellation, Sony Pictures is now exploring alternative options for releasing the comedy The Interview. The reversal is the latest twist in the dramatic hacking attack, which the FBI blamed on North Korea.
As it stands right now, while there have been a number of suggestions that we go out there and deliver this movie digitally or through VOD, there has not been one major VOD video-on-demand distributor, one major e-commerce site that has stepped forward and said they are willing to distribute this movie for us.
US President Barack Obama said on Friday that Sony had made a mistake by axing the controversial comedy, which depicts the assassination of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. But Sony defended its decision.
I am sympathetic to the concerns that they faced. Having said all that, yes, I think they made a mistake. We cannot have a society in which some dictator someplace can start imposing censorship here in the United States.
I don't know exactly whether he understands the sequence of events that led up to the movies not being shown in the movie theaters, therefore I would disagree with the notion that it was a mistake.
The cyber attack more than 3 weeks ago rendered thousands of Sony's computers inoperable. However, North Korea has denied allegations that it was responsible for the hack. It has now urged a joint inquiry with the United States. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, all the other international news and updates in Global Buzz. UN Secretary-General Ban Ki-moon reached Ebola-hit Sierra Leone on Saturday. He urged people to set aside traditional practices like hand-washing dead bodies. Infection rates are rising fastest in Sierra Leone, that accounts for over half of the 18,603 total confirmed Ebola cases. Angry protesters in Mexico surrounded the vehicle of Acapulco Mayor Luis Bolton to demand answers about the whereabouts of 43 missing students who were abducted by police. Bolton's vehicle was stopped for 40 minutes, during which time protesters wrote graffiti on the mayor's car threatening vengeance for the missing children. Flowers and messages of love continue to pour at an impromptu memorial 5 days after the hostage siege in Sydney left 3 people dead. 2 hostages and the hostage taker died when the police stormed a cafe in the early hours of 16 December, ending a 16-hour standoff. The Pentagon has announced it will send up to 1,300 more U.S. troops to Iraq. Pentagon spokesperson Rear Admiral John Kirby said deployment is part of an additional 1,500 troops authorized in November by President Barack Obama. The goal of the mission is to train 9 brigades of Iraqi security forces and 3 Iraqi Kurdish Peshmerga brigades. Richard Rahul Verma was sworn in as the U.S. ambassador to India. He becomes the first ever Indian American to hold the post. The 46-year-old was sworn in by Secretary of State John Kerry at the State Department. Verma is slated to reach India ahead of Kerry's visit to Delhi next month. On some sports now, the poor performance of Team India on the cricket field continued in Brisbane in Australia as well. The team lost the second test match against Australia by 4 wickets. Resuming at an overnight score of 71 for 1, India were bowled out for 224 and 64.3 overs on the 5th day of the match. India lost 4 wickets in quick succession, adding only 16 runs. In reply to India's meagre target of 128 runs, Australia lost 6 wickets to claim victory. Fast bowler Mitchell Johnson took 4 wickets while batsman Chris Rogers scored a half-century. This is India's 5th away defeat in a row and their 15th in the last 18 matches. Australia now have an invincible 2-0 lead in the series. It's time now to call it a wrap on News Tonight. But before we go, let's leave you with these visuals of the Raising Day celebrations of the Seema Sashastra Bal, SSB. You picture this, and thanks for watching.
कदम बढ़ाए जा, खुशी के गीत गाए जा, ये जिंदगी है कौम की।